then I'll turn it right over to you. So, unfortunately, London couldn't be here tonight, but I'm really honored to introduce Laura King. A lot of people know who she is. She's one of our favorite speakers. We thank her for being a friend to Dressage for Kids for many, many years. And for over 25 years, she's been helping people unlock their full potential and achieve personal best with personalized life and sports coaching. So this spans from equestrian, golf, professionals in the business world, just about anyone, using proven techniques that help you overcome stress, anxiety, and self-doubt. I could use the entire hour to tell you about her accolades, but that is not why we're here. So it's my pleasure to introduce Laura King tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Glad y'all came out tonight. I love coming here and speak every year. It just does me so much good for myself because I like to share. I love to teach my story and tell you about what I like and why I stick to my program and why I'm still working at my age, because I love what I do. I'm going to teach you a little bit about your brain, but first of all, I want to start off when I did something different tonight is I created starting with NLP, because usually I start off with hypnosis. Hypnosis is my main tool. I relax people, we go past the critical factor of the brain and help reprogram your brain. Tonight I really wanted to let you know you can do that on the conscious mind with repetition, with learning how to use the different levels. And it's NLP. What is NLP? It's a short letter for a long name, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. What it is are the words that you say to yourself, what you say out loud. Neuro is a neurological pathway in your brain. The linguistic, the mental process is coded, and the meaning that you have to that word in your brain, okay? So this goes a little bit deeper. Then it's the programming attached to the communication of the patterns of what your thoughts equal. Do you realize all we are thoughts? That's all we are. When we think, we create what is happening. So I wanted to put together something that I can give y'all to take home. There's a printout of the PowerPoint up there. If you didn't get a copy of it, you can write down your email address and I'll send you an email with the copy of the PowerPoint, because there's techniques in here. What we use words for is new things. When you learn something new, how do you learn? Are you auditory, kinesthetic, or visual? How do you take in information? This is real important for writing. If you're struggling with the movement and you're hearing it from your trainer and you are a visual learner, it takes a little longer to get it in your brain. I'm just going to educate you about this. Because we want to learn new things faster, we have to kind of figure out how we learn. So if you're a visual learner, just politely ask, show me. If you're an auditory learner, perfect if they're being told what to do with your headphones on or the trainer's talking to you. If you're a kinesthetic learner, you're going to have to do the movement and feel it. What your brain is doing is memorizing it, because we want to master that you can do something well when you learn how to do it and get your brain to memorize it. What happens when the words go into your brain? You start having a muscle memory, it becomes a physical reaction, and then you learn how your body needs to be, and you do all the things that you need for that action. You gotta think more clearly. When you have your brain's awareness of words and you really start accepting that your words are what you're doing, then you start listening to your own words. You can concentrate better because you're going to be learning how your brain learns. Now, I will add this. With the tools that I'm going to give you today, you can open your mind to become more kinesthetic, auditory, and visual by understanding that that's what is going on in your brain. When you become aware of that, you start developing and achieve a peak performance. Enjoy writing. It's a misspelled word. It's supposed to be writing more, not writing more. I thought I fixed that. Anyway, it didn't hit save. Oh, that's a good word there. We have to save in our memory bank what we do. So repetition is what? Important, isn't it? Do you practice? Do you take lessons? Do you read? Do you watch? Do you watch other people? So we're going to go through this process. What we need to learn about NLP is we're opening the brain to improve your performance. Now, we can talk about performance with the horse. We can talk about performance for school. I actually teach a lot about performance in life. I started about 15, maybe 17 years ago when I would work with equestrians. I would kind of feel like I was going into their brain and helping them be their what? Personal best. So what I realized is that in dressage especially, you go in and you want to be perfect. Perfect in the dressage ring is what? Scoring 100. Everybody gets hundreds, don't they? No. So they're always fighting this number of some sort of way of wanting to be better, and that perfectionism kind of takes over. And I was really studying the brain a lot deeper into performance at the time, because my first job when I became a hypnotherapist was I was hired by a professional golfer. In those days, we didn't do phone sessions, so I had to fly all over the United States. So when I learned that the brain can be a little bit more palatable with information, I started diving into NLP, realizing that when we do anything, our brain is producing neurological pathways of how to do it. Like I'm doing my personal best standing up here talking to y'all, which says a lot for me. Because when I became a hypnotherapist 25 years ago, I could not speak in front of a group of people. I had a fear. I would have a panic attack up here. I was always, in all my other jobs, behind the scenes person that ran auctions, had businesses, but I used to call myself Oz behind the curtain. Tell me that, really, Laura, the new Wizard of Oz out there, Oz is not a nice person. Don't use that as your example. I went, oh, okay. Well, I haven't seen it yet. But I was always behind the curtain. I discovered when I became a hypnotherapist 25 years ago that I had to speak or I would not get any clients. So I went to another friend of mine that was a hypnotherapist at the time, and I got hypnotized and I got over that fear. Now, why did I become a therapist at later years of my life? My mentor that saved my life 50 years ago now from depression and suicide, she passed away and I was gifted all her material. And so I ended up going and getting hypnotized to be a hypnotherapist. Now, I use that term, and I always keep hypnosis in my vocabulary because that's what it is. But really, it's mindfulness, it's guided imagery, it's visualization. It is, anytime you close your eyes, you go into an altered state. So when you worry about something and you make a mountain out of a molehill, you're hypnotizing yourself. So what I say I am, through science, they've proven this, I am a facilitator having you go through self-hypnosis and make molehills out of mountains. Because we have learned to make change in the subconscious mind, we need another voice, because we hear our own voice all the time. So using these tools, these are conscious level things that we're going to go through right now, is reframing. This is an addition to the hypnosis I'm going to give you at the end of the program. Reframing, these are things you can do consciously and learn what they mean. Reframe, it means changing the meaning you give a moment. Think about that. Your nervous system reacts meaning, not facts. The definition of you get to what you say, the meaning shifts. Your body softens, your horse responds. Same situation, new meaning, different ride. So if you think you're nervous, what is your brain's job supposed to do? Get your blood pressure up, your nervous system gets activated. So if we reframe, we want to ride from clarity, not the pressure. So if you can bring to the saddle your ability to manage your emotions and have a different thought process of, instead of chit-chatting about how nervous you are or how you have performance anxiety or how much you worry about this, start reframing it into something that is going to give you the outcome that you want. The way we do it is like, I'm nervous. Cancel that thought. Erase that thought. My body is preparing me to focus. Say focus instead of nerves. Change your definitions of what you're doing. My horse is being difficult. My horse is communicating. Your horse doesn't go out there and go, I'm going to be difficult today for her. He's communicating what he's feeling and what the environment is, isn't he? So you've got to feel your horse, and you've got to have the ability to manage that. The other one is, I can't mess this up. And as soon as you think mess up a problem, you're going to automatically go and have a problem. Because you're focusing on what? The mistake. What we want to do, does anybody worry about other people watching them? Anybody have that problem? You ride your connection. Let me teach you something. Everybody you're worrying about is worrying about you, the same thing you're doing. If everybody spent as much time that they waste on worrying about what the other person thinks and focuses on themselves, it'd be a lot easier, wouldn't it? Because really and truly, you need to sit that saddle and do your personal best. That means you're going to have your subconscious mind where all the things are stored, and you're going to use the information. I don't have time. Small adjustments create big shifts. Do you ever feel like you're crunched for time when you're going in the ring, or you're worried about whether you're going to be there or you're going to be on time? Fear of time sometimes interferes and we don't even realize it. So I want you to just think about some of these examples. Reframes is taking the subject and reframing it with the outcome that you want. How do you want to do it? Correctly. Start changing your perfect word to correct. Then your brain, your autoresponder, is going to work together for you to do that. How many people here drive? Did y'all park your car out front? Did you get out and measure the spot before you pulled in? Or did you just pull in? You pulled in, didn't you? You did your personal best and parked your car. That's how I have learned to help many equestrians improve their scores and improve their riding, by pushing that personal best and rewiring the reframe of what that looks like. It's like the ring reset. Before you mount or enter the ring, to stop for a second and take a deep breath. I know y'all had a lot of different speakers that come and go with different things you've gone to. You read books, you have trainers, you learn. You're always absorbing information of how to what? Improve. When we want to improve, we want to bring a higher level of information to the brain. Come on in. Come on in. Everybody was outside, couldn't get in. I just started, so we'll catch up. I'll wait one more minute so they can get all this. Y'all don't mind, do y'all? Sign them up. I haven't told them that. There's a bunch of people coming in. I guess it did say 7, didn't it? Oh, yeah. We'll wait a minute. I'll just kind of recap, reframing for them, okay? Hi, everybody. I started a few minutes ago, but I'm going to reframe. I'll tell you the first word I was teaching. Reframe. And the PowerPoint has all the information in it, too. Hi.
Sorry we're late. We thought it started at 7.
Well, that's what we just heard, that the thing said, one thing said 6:30, one said 7.
Okay, we apologize.
It's okay. I'm going to catch y'all up and we'll get going. We'll wait till they come in. Because I've just started, just kind of gave an introduction to who I was, and then I just started with NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. But it'll all feed in together, and you have the notes of it too.
Thank you.
Yes. So we'll put it all together, because I'm going to sit up here and just do my personal best. And nothing flusters me, so I'm very trained in this field. I practice what I teach, I will tell you that. And I love what I teach. Come on in. Isn't the library beautiful?
Yes,
They redid it.
it's really nice.
So I had started a little bit and I was talking about NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. For those that are just coming in, the first part of NLP is a word called reframing. And what I teach with that is how to use your thoughts and reframe them into thoughts that need to be workable for what the outcome is that you want. And one of the things we were going over is how to change what your thoughts are. If I'm nervous, my body's prepared and focused. My horse is being difficult, he's just communicating. So we're going to learn some word techniques of reframe, because neuro-linguistic programming is a neurological pathway of the brain's words and how we are programmed to the definition of that word. One person can act and react to one word differently than another person. If someone says that they're stressed, I don't use the word stress in my vocabulary, so I don't have a reaction to the word stress. But the average human being, the word stress or that drives me crazy, the brain associates to the body and turns on the nervous system, shortens your breath, puts your blood pressure up, and makes you be reactive. So reframing is learning what your words are, what are you saying to yourself, and how to change them. A little bit more about the reframe too is how the brain functions when you are in a situation. So we went over dressage, that we all think about being perfect. But there's no such thing as perfect, so I like to say you do each movement correctly, and then I push real strongly your personal best. And we're gonna come back to that internal mindset and manage it with how every thought that you have to figure out what the reframe is. We mentioned everybody is watching. Ride the connection and avoid worrying about what the other person thinks. I love also going through, you go to a show, you really aren't being judged. You go in, why do you go to a ring and do a test? You want an evaluation to what you've learned and how well you're doing each movement. Is that correct?
Yes.
The person doing the judging isn't judging you as a human being. They're looking at your movements and to see how well you're doing them to give you a score. They went and did all the training and did the test taking and did all this, so they had a roadmap in their brain of how to do their evaluations, correct? So if we can move it along a little bit and reframe you right now that every time you sit in the saddle, you do your personal best, just like how you parked your car in the parking lot. You didn't get out and measure your spot. You pulled in and you parked. Same thing for doing the test. So the ring reset, I went through some of this. It is before you mount, do you have a ritual of something that you do? Do you have a set thing for your breathing? Do you make sure you have enough protein before you show? What is your daily activity to what you want to do before you ride? I made some suggestions. Soft, flow, trust, focus. Some people call them mantras. That's a good word, but mantra usually is for meditation. How about thinking of a mantra before you ride your horse to tell your brain to take a chill pill? Because if you are more in tune with what you're doing and you're more relaxed, are you going to perform better? Because that's releasing performance anxiety. So choosing, ride toward that word, having that word and practice saying it. Now, of course, everybody knows I'm a hypnotist here, and I do give you some hypnosis MP3s at the end of this, so I do help you with these changes because I hypnotize you to do it. But I spoke to everybody earlier and mentioned that all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. You go in and out of it all the time. When you worry, you're hypnotizing yourself to your worry. I'm another voice that your brain hears to make the changes through your subconscious mind. So these are the things of the reframes. And your personal best reminder. I've gone over parking a car. I've talked about going and doing a test. You want to find that clarity to your purpose, because there's no such thing as perfect. It is your firing in your neurological pathways to do what you do your best at that moment. If you have a fear, if you have performance anxiety, it slows the oxygen to your brain and it affects your performance. So we want to get clarity to being in what do they call it? The zone? What is the zone? The zone really is being in the moment, trusting what is programmed in your brain, and doing it. That is what I label the personal best. So when we do this, it's that personal best, it's the presence, it's the connection, and it's being able to put those together with being present with what you're doing. And what we know, the clear communication too, is yourself and your horse. I have ridden my whole life. I did the circuit back in the 70s. Then I got out of it for a while, then I did the Western. Then I did the all-around Western, that was fun. And then my daughter started riding, so everything went toward my daughter to ride. She did 100 jumpers. And I thought when she went to college, I would start riding again. But instead, I became a hypnotherapist, started working full-time. So I did have horses for a while. I just sold my last horse about a year ago, because I didn't take the time to spend. It takes a lot of time. I spend my time teaching and helping people, and that's what I choose to do. So my clear communication with myself is being aware of taking care of myself. So all these things I'm teaching you today are for you to be able to take care of yourself and practice these tools, even though we're here for equestrian part. I want you to learn about this for your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. This is a solution to being healthier. This is a solution so your brain learns how to manage any and all situations in your life. Because the more emotionally intelligent you are, the more resilient you are, the easier and more you'll enjoy life. I turned 70 in November, and I decided I was going to do 70 things before I turned 70. I didn't make it to all the 70 things yet, but I'm still working on it. What did I mean by that? I use these tools, and I would like to take care of myself mentally, physically, and emotionally. So as we go through this reframing, your personal best is just a reminder that everything you do in a nanosecond of time, your brain is producing that personal best with information that you've learned. What you know is what you know, what you don't know is what you don't know. So if you get in a situation you're uncomfortable and you go, oh, maybe I don't know how to be in this situation, you need to learn knowledge. That's why we take lessons, that's why we're here today. Gonna learn some more stuff. I will say to you, if anybody didn't get the PowerPoint and want one, we have a list out front and I will send it to you. If anybody, I brought books, I don't think I brought enough books. If you didn't get a book, please write your name down and tell me you need a book. I will mail it to you. And if you did get a PowerPoint, because I give you free MP3s at the end, do get them, I'll send them to you. So we want to know, what's another NLP technique? Neuro-linguistic programming is the neurological pathway of the brain, and the linguistic, the words that you say. Chunking. Chunking to me is where we chunk time. So let's say our brain's job, if it has an infinity of not knowing something, its job is to put you in fear, flight, fright, freeze mechanism. That's a natural instinct if you don't know where you're going. Timeline therapy with the brain too is knowing I can do this for 1 month, I can do this for 3 months, I can do this for 6 months. So being able to chunk something when you're worried about something, so it's not infinity of not knowing you're going to learn it. So you kind of have to chunk your time. It's to ride the step you're in. You're chunking your time to be on that horse, ride that test, and stay present with it. So chunking time is a way of means adjusting the size of your focus. Now, we know with the test, you have each movement. You don't start out going in the ring and doing a whole test at once. You chunk the test. You learn each movement, don't you? Then you start putting them together, right? Then there are different levels. You don't go out and buy a horse and go do the Grand Prix at Global in the first month, do you? So you chunk your time. What I have found very important, especially for dressage riders, is having that written down so you have a plan. You tell your brain that it's got to do it in a certain period of time. Versus the big picture of wanting to go to the Olympics or wanting to do a Grand Prix or the freestyle. When you chunk it back, the brain says, I can do that. So chunking to me is so it doesn't become overwhelming. You change the size of the focus, you change the feeling in the body. Because if the picture's too big, the body's job is to put you in fear, fight, freeze mechanism. And we want to be able to manage this ability to chunk it. When you feel the pressure, chunk it down. That's you taking the moment and knowing that you can manage it for this period of time. I have seen huge changes in people when they really, really take control of their thoughts a little bit and not let the big picture overwhelm them. And a lot of times timeline therapy is part of this too, where they think I should have been doing this, I should be this age doing this, or I should have done this before now, or started writing when I was too old, or there are a lot of programs. We want to find whatever the program that gives the pressure and be able to chunk it down, whether the transition, the movement, the breathing, soft hands. Be able to answer your own questions, which sometimes if you don't know the answer and you have a problem and you ask your trainer, find out what they're actually telling you. They want to be able to manage your thoughts and to feel that frustration. If you feel it and you want to chunk it up bigger to see the big picture so you can manage that when you get to it, then you have the ability to learn how to get to the big picture. I do find with horses too, we have levels that the horse can do. We have levels that we can do. We're always building upon it. So we want to know what the whole skill that we're building is for. And knowing that how this will look long-term partnership, zooming out restores the brain's ability to see the whole thing. So we can chunk down and we can chunk up. There's more to this. I'm giving you little pieces of it, but if you get into it, the book talks about a lot of it. So that's why I bring books and give them out for free, because I want people to learn. These are all brain functions. What we want to do too is in the ring, we choose to focus for today. What do we need to do today? What are the tests so we're not thinking about next week or not thinking about what we're doing it for? We want to be focused on the now. When we focus on the now, the brain can actually let everything and everything else become secondary. I call it stay in your lane and do your personal best. I stay in my lane and I do my personal best. That eliminates a lot of gremlins out there. Anybody here ever get gremlins when they go to the show? There's little voices in there, meh, 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 telling you all the things not to do, what to do, or what, or who, that, blah, 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 blah. Sometimes we got to really be in the zone and bring it down so we choose our words. Focus today, your rhythm, your balance. What are your words? What do you think? You're a relaxed body, responsive. Someone asked me one time, do you relax me where I'm really relaxed in the saddle? No, I relax the nervous system so you can perform in the saddle. That's different. You ever feel really good when you did a test and you feel the rhythm of the horse and you really got that, you really got that feeling and you did it? That's where we want to go. That personal best reminder. The peak performance happens one moment at a time. One moment at a time. But they're all put together so the body and the mind, what is the brain doing with the body? What happens? The ligaments, your structure, you create muscle memory. One of the things I really want to point out with muscle memory, if you're tense when you're learning something and your muscles are tense, that's how the brain memorizes it. And when we learn something tense, the brain keeps the tension attached to what we learn. So here's a practice for you, and I've been teaching this to a lot of people in all kinds of areas. tense up, feel it, and go, oh, that's what I felt. Because we've memorized the tension. So you got to train your brain, what's the difference? My metaphor for this is a funny one. I was getting a massage. I was face down, and the masseuse says, relax your derriere. And I go, it is relaxed. I'm getting a massage. I'm half asleep. I'm really relaxed. She says, no, relax it. I go, it is. She goes, okay, tense it. I went, ooh, it's tense. I didn't realize I was that tense in my muscles. And I went, wow. And I started doing that with my equestrians. I said, well, how do you feel? You know, and they would kind of tense up. So I was teaching some trainers one time, and we kind of discussed this. Well, now ask your student, if you see them tense, say, tense up, and they'll realize that they are tense. A lot of times we don't realize it because we hold tension in our muscle memory. I was being interviewed on a golf podcast, and I wasn't going to use that metaphor because I didn't think it was appropriate. My guy interviewing me used that metaphor. It happened to him getting a massage. And he starts telling me, I go, I know, I kind of teach this stuff, but I want y'all to learn something about how to change it. We memorize stuff and then we anchor it into what we're doing. An anchor is another NLP technique. A red light is an anchor to stop. When you see a red light, you don't go, oh, there's a red light, I need to lift up my foot and put on the brake. Your brain goes, put on the brake. So our brain gets trained with triggers and anchors. So we sit in the saddle, breathe, and we get anchored into what we do with all kinds of triggers and anchors. They can be all kinds of stuff. I've had people that had fears of birds, people have fears of water bottles. I've had all kinds of things. And just in the peripheral vision, if they're exposed to it, they're going to tense up. Old trainers walking by, people from an old barn. I had one the other day, we realized she didn't like to see red golf carts. So we got to chunk down a little bit. What triggers you? What causes you to be more tense? And then chunk it back up to doing what you're doing without the tension and realizing it. But first, most important here, remember, it is your dadgum words you say to yourself. It's your story. Change your story to how you perceive everything. Change the story. Because your peak performance happens one moment at a time when they align. Now, I do have to keep adding to this because I do give you the MP3s. I help you by helping you through the subconscious mind too. So I'm teaching you this for the conscious level, but we want to go one more future pacing for you is knowing what it looks like. I promote dress rehearsals all the time. Now, there are two types of dress rehearsals. There's one you can do mentally, and there's one you go do physically. So when I say dress rehearsal, it is that internal dialogue of the mindset. It's a responsibility you give to yourself to know you know the whole process. Now, an actor and actress on a play or a movie, they have a lot of dress rehearsals and they know that. A lot of times in sports, we don't think about dress rehearsals. But I really promote it a lot because, you know, I got a new pair of boots. Wear them before you go to the show. I got a new hat. I got a new coat. Whatever. Do it in a full mindset. I remember working with Debbie McDonald one time and I said the same thing. And then she said, well, yes, look over there. And everybody was all there for the clinic we were teaching and doing a dress rehearsal. That was what, then I was teaching about it. So it was pretty cool. So your mind memorizes what to do. And it remembers in unison. So when you do a dress rehearsal, make sure you check off your list of what a normal place to be at that time would be for your body and your mind. And then when you do it, if you have a hiccup in it, I call any problem a hiccup. If you have a problem, change it to a hiccup, because hiccups go away, problems linger. So whatever hiccups you have, figure out what the response is and reframe it, readjust it, and change it. Because we want to get the ride in your mind to be where you are seeing it, feeling it, and trusting it. Then anchor it into sitting in the saddle. Get in that correct position. Listen to what you're doing. And I said earlier, for those that came in later, know if you're auditory, kinesthetic, or visual learner. If your trainer's telling you what to do and you're just not getting it, maybe you're a kinesthetic learner. Maybe you're a visual learner. Ask what it looks like. One lady came to me years ago and she says, I'm going to quit riding, Laura. She says, my trainer says I'm just not getting it. And we talked a little bit and I said, are you a visual learner? Is she always telling you what to do in your headset? She said, yeah. I said, well, let's work on that. First, ask her to show you, but I'll hypnotize you to be more open to visual, kinesthetic, and auditory, because you can use all three when you start learning how to do that. And I ran into her, I helped her for a while, and then I ran into her like 3 years later at the store, and she said, Laura, I'm still riding, still doing what you taught me. So when you have difficulties, chunk it down a little bit. There's not something wrong with you. There might just be a puzzle piece missing. Figure out what that is. What is it? What do you need for the next movement, or what the next process, or where you're going? Then we want to use future pacing, which I have mentioned. It's pacing the mental rehearsal. So the future pacing is what we do the dress rehearsal for, so that when we go in the ring, we've already done it mentally. Like for jumpers and hunters, they walk the course. I made them walk the whole course. I remember teaching with Robert Dover one time, and he said, well, he used to kind of do it in his living room. He'd do the test himself on foot, kind of go through it all. And that's a good idea too, but visually, he was seeing it visually, but he was moving his body too. But however you do a dress rehearsal, whether it's with your horse, whether it's mentally, the imagination, the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between real and imagined. Have you ever worried about something that never happened and you felt like it was real? That's your imagination, which we're going to get into in a minute. But the brain responds to vivid imagination as practice. Now, here's a trick. If you don't think you're a visual person, like if I say, imagine an apple on my hand here, or pretend there's an apple there. Visualize, imagine, pretend. What color was yours?
Red.
Red? Mine was yellow. I'm not a very visual person, but I can pretend there's an apple there. Pretend you're doing it. Use some words that work for you. Use your brain to figure out what it is, because the brain will respond to the vivid imagination. I use imagine, visualize, and pretend. And the brain will pick it up. And your body feels and prepares, and it feels it as you breathe and you find the right way to manage it. You start programming doing it without the pressure, without the tension. Learn behavior again. I wrote this out just because, everybody has their own type of pre-ride routines. I want you to breathe, sit in the saddle, drop your shoulders, soften your hands. Do some little things yourself to get in the moment. Gently imagine your riding is calm, your seat is balanced, your horse is relaxed. These are the things to think instead of about the gremlins. See it, feel it, write it in your mind. Do the visual mindset of what it looks like. So it's just a simple pre-ride routine. I go into a lot more things to where checking off your day, your timing, your performance, whether you're a professional, whether you're an amateur, however you look at it. Do you feel like you belong? Do you feel like, sometimes we feel like a fish out of water. How do I change that thought? I remember speaking to the Robert Dover group one New Year's. I was teaching about timeline therapy and how to plan what they want to go do and everything, and somebody raised their hand and said, what was one of your goals, Mrs. King, when you started? And I said, well, actually, just stand here in front of y'all. You ought to come out of a box and think you're going to change the world as a hypnotist. You get laughed at, and you get, don't look at me. What am I going to do? I sit here and hypnosis saved my life, so I really believe in it. Now, in year 2026, it's so scientifically proven. We all go in and out of hypnosis all the time. It's not something I do to anybody. I don't send you to Cleveland. I don't send you anywhere. You just relax. You go in and out of it all the time. Remember that. And it's just a tool teaching you how to use your brain. how to manage your brain in every and all situations. To not let traffic bother you, to be present, be highly emotionally intelligent. Do you know you're born with an IQ and it stays the same no matter how much you learn? But you can raise your level of emotional intelligence by learning how to manage your emotions. To become more resilient, to manage your life, to be in your lane and do your personal best at everything you do. I stay in my lane. I do what I do. So this is what ideas, but I'd love for people to know a plan ahead of a plan. Like when I go to do something, I use Waze. I know how long it's going to take me to get here. I plan ahead. I'm never late. My mantra is I'm always on time. Somehow I'm always early actually, but I'm always on time. But I'll write it out. And I'll know what I need to do. Like I knew I was coming here to speak. I knew they were going to serve pizza. I don't like to eat a lot of food before I eat, but I've got to have protein for my brain to work. So I drank a protein shake while driving here. I plan. I want you to plan your ride. I want you to plan your show. I want you to plan your lessons. Because, we are all, one thing I will say, I believe, and this is my personal opinion, us equestrians are high performers most of the time. We like to be good at everything we do. So learning that this is what you do, you make a plan. One word, choose a guiding word. Calm, flow, trust, forward. Repeat it in your visualizations. Go to bed thinking about it. Doing the right thing at the right time all the time. There's a lot of verbiage that's healthy. Find what those words are. Find what works for you. I share my book, I repeat it, I don't know if I said it when everybody got here. If you didn't get a book and you want one, there's a pad of paper out there, give me your name and address, I'll mail you one. Read it. It was written 25 years ago. I was helping some people and a publisher came to me and asked me if I'd write a book. I said, sure, because I said yes to just about everything. My husband said, you can't write a book, Laura. I go, really? Okay. Yeah, I can. Why not? I can do anything. So we started writing this book, and it was based upon release performance anxiety, concentration, peak performance, and it was kind of a hard thing to do when you're working a lot of hours, and so we took a weekend off. He was going to help me. Then I was speaking at a thing in Palm Beach, and a friend comes up to me and said, I want to introduce you to my friend Mary. She's a ghostwriter, and I went, can I hire you? She says, no, I don't really think, I don't know. We met for lunch at Bradley's the next day. We met at 11, we left at 5. And she was my ghostwriter then. So what she could do, I could talk and she could type as fast as I could talk. And I could tell the story and she could give me what I needed to fill in. And there's another thing, I am dyslexic. So writing a book was very difficult for me. I have audibles for my books and it's not my voice because I really can't read exactly what's there like it's supposed to be. And I used hypnosis to get through college so I could learn. I've used it for a lot of things and now I help a lot of other people. But there are just a couple things I cannot overcome. So, oh well, I get help and I tell the truth. So when you hear what I say, I'm telling you because a lot of these life experiences are where I've used hypnosis. When the woman saved my life 50 years ago, I had trouble in college. I went back to college and studied psychology for 3.5, almost 4 years, and then decided I wanted to be an interior designer, went to interior design school, and then did other businesses. Never intended to do this. Then I went back to get my master's in psychology, but I was too busy seeing clients, so I didn't finish it. So I'm here as a learned person by using the tools, and I teach you how to use them, and I give you that life coaching process that it is putting all these together. So finding what your words are, finding how your brain functions with words. When you're writing, if certain things are bothering you, write them down and chunk them and reframe them and change them. Personal best reminder, that peak performance, the being present with what you're doing, having that mindset. You know, I'm sure you all know, don't bring work with you to the saddle, don't bring school with you to the saddle. Kind of learn how to be present with what you're doing. Concentrate builds connection. to concentrate and keep your mind set. Lots of techniques for this. But the NLP part of it is that reminding y'all the neuro connection in the brain to the words you use. Listen to your words. NLP, changing for your question, is that belief of the change of the ride. You learn how to do a skill, and we want you to learn how to do the skill and have your body in the right position. And how do you ride better? Stiff or smooth and fluid? Stiff means the horse is going to feel it, doesn't it? If you're a mirror to the horse is a mirror of you, which I find very important. So changing the belief, change the ride. Going back into what is a belief change. I've mentioned some of these in the conversations. It is, I'll give you a metaphor for one of these. I'm going to use a polo player. He comes in and he sits down, and his boss sent him for me to work with him. And he says, well, I don't have the best polo ponies anyway. I go, okay, but I'm a good polo player. I said, well, what if I hypnotize you that your polo ponies are just as good as Patrons or whatever team is good? He goes, well, that's kind of silly. I said, okay, I've done it for a lot of other people. I won't do it for you. He goes, okay, go ahead. So he comes in the next week and he says, my ponies were so great this week. Now, I'm giving you the polo pony, but I want you to think about your horse. You've got to believe your horse can do what you're asking him to do. You got to believe that you got to not have a wall up and believe, well, that's going to be too hard for me to do. I had a huge wall that I couldn't speak in front of people. I was a Girl Scout leader for my daughter's group. I'm probably the only human you'll ever meet that hired a co-leader to speak for me. I couldn't stand up in front of 9-year-old girls. I look back at that and go, God, really? But anyway, that was my fear. So let's think about what you think about your horse. And let's think about what you think about where you are and whether you belong. You got to feel comfortable in what you're doing to do well at it. And since your imagination is stronger than knowledge, pretend you are. Dress rehearse you are. You're not confident. I'm always getting nervous. My horse is better than I am. All these are things we say. So if you feel that that's the truth, your brain's job is to produce that truth. Your belief shifts, your posture, your breathing, and your confidence shifts. That's huge. What we want to do is have the belief in the rules that you're saying to yourself that runs your ride, that makes you do what you do. Do you know that if you drive a car, if you're always 5 miles over the speed limit, you're always 5 miles over the speed limit without looking at the speed limit sign? Your brain memorizes it. There's some tests out there that are really cool. Your brain memorizes everything. So let's look at our words. I'm not consistent. Well, if you're not consistent, how can you change that? Practice being consistent. So catch the belief. Notice the sentence running under pressure. This is a belief, not a fact. If it's a belief, can you change it? So we want to really be aware of what that looks like. The questions is a process of the thought process, learned information. And wait a minute. In today's world, how many people here has ever used ChatGPT? You know, I have learned so much. If you have a question about something you really don't know, ask it. It'll tell you how to say it correctly. It will tell you what the right words are. I'd rather use my own brain and do all the work, but you know what? I've had some fun looking up some stuff. So as we can take the question and we want to know what the truth is, the evidence against it, how do we weaken what we think is the truth? If you're having a physical reaction in going in the ring and you have performance anxiety, it's the truth, isn't it? So if you want to change that, you got to practice what it feels like to not have it. So when I became a hypnotherapist, I'd get in the chair and I'd have my first client in my internship, and I was so nervous. So they told me after class one day that, you're going to have to chill out in there. I go, well, I don't know if I can do this. And so my teacher says, well, let's do a session. He says, what makes you feel really good? I had a dog at that time. Her name was Kelly. She was a Manchester Terrier. And I loved when she sat in my lap. So he hypnotized, and he told me to pretend Kelly was in my lap. And how good it felt to talk to people and to hypnotize people. Do you know, to this day, 26 years later, I still imagine my dog Kelly, and she's passed away from about 6 years now. I did buy another Manchester Terrier, looks just like her, but her name is Maggie. So now Maggie sits in my lap. So the brain, where I'm giving this metaphor for, think of something that feels good. We merge it with how you're feeling so you can feel that same feeling in the saddle. Borrow another feeling and just tell your brain to shift yourself. In any nanosecond of time. In my career, I've hypnotized a lot of people to manage going over big bridges. Well, I grew up in Pahokee, Florida, which is 50 miles west of here, and we don't really have any big bridges. The biggest bridge I go over is going to Indiantown, that little hump. So someone hired me to go to New Jersey to teach at their barn. Betsy Steiner, I went up there. And my assistant had never really flown in and out of New York, so she flew me into LaGuardia to go to New Jersey. I'm in the car. This is back before we had all of this. And I'm trying to call somebody to get instructions. But I had carried around a little Garmin. The Garmin didn't have enough power to light up. So I found out I either go to the Staten Island Bridge or go through Manhattan. Well, I'd been going to Manhattan every other month to work. And I'm going, I don't know that I want to drive in Manhattan. I'm going to go to the bridge. I'm going to that bridge. I go, oh, this is what people... I'd never experienced that. I said, what am I going to do? Pull over and hang a little white flag? Somebody help me? No, I'm going to do what I taught my clients. Stay between the lanes and drive the car. It's a car and it's a road. And I made it over that bridge. And guess what I did when I left to go back to the airport? I drove in Manhattan. Because I made it comfortable and I made it fun and I changed my brain. I actually hypnotized myself before I got in the car. Because I've learned these tools. Borrow something that feels good and think it when you're having a difficult time. It works every time. So this is the way to think of the truth. What is it there that you want to change? And be able to get the explanation that weakens it. Now I gave you my example of what weakened going over the bridge. I'm in the lane, I'm between two lines, I'm driving the car just like it's on any road. I'm not looking out there, I'm looking here. And I reframed my thoughts. Then again, I didn't have any other choice, but I know how to use the tools. I teach that a lot for people that have road rage and don't like driving traffic. People tell me, I go, oh, I'm going to leave to go to North Carolina, or you're leaving at this time, you're going to hit traffic in Jacksonville. And I go, what traffic? I like driving in all traffic. It's reframing what you don't like to something that is comfortable. Think of the things that you don't like. Don't let that ruin your life. Choose a stronger belief. Like I would just say, I'm learning to ride with confidence. I can adjust and continue. My calm helps my horse. I'm capable of being my personal best today. Let that be your mantra. You know, in my day, we used to get lipstick and write positive thoughts on our mirrors. That's really hard to get off. Today, you have dry erasers that are real easy, and you can put positive things on your mirrors and stuff. Go to the store and buy a button at Staples that says easy. Start putting the easy button on everything. If you believe it's easy, it's easier to do. Scientifically proven. Install it in your body. Breathe, sit up tall, soften your hands, repeat, and the belief that you're wanting to work on. The I can and I am are so important. That I am and I can. Because we want to take the belief change, repetition, safety, and no force. You're not forcing it, you're allowing it. You're allowing it. A reminder. Personal best is not perfection. It's you learning how to do something to your best ability. I wrote another book called Perfect Enough. I wrote that one 24 years ago. And it basically is a self-image builder as being a human, your self-confidence, your life and aliveness, your prosperity, abundance, your self-talk. And it's how to learn words. Because we're all perfect enough. We are enough. It's just accepting who we are and being what we can be. Because I believe you can do anything and everything you put your mind to. So when we have this peak performance and that belief level, you have to see it. You have to believe you can do it. Now, there's a trick here. I do need to tell you about this. I have learned through my practice that a lot of times when we work toward an outcome we want, we see the people that are the winners, and we might not like them, but we have a self-preservation in our minds that'll keep us from being that because we don't want to look like the winner of whatever person or place or whatever. Arrogant, rude, socially acceptable, whatever it is, I don't care. But we have to like what we want to achieve for us to go the whole gambit, to do the whole thing. I had a little difficulty with this because I went to the hypnosis convention and I'm like, ooh, I don't know that I want to be, because here's this huge person outside and I go when she's teaching a weight loss program, she's not practicing what she's teaching. Then the guy's out there smoking a cigarette and he's teaching the stop smoking class. I'm like, ooh, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to practice what I teach. And I pride myself on that because it's important. If I tell you that this is so, I want to be telling you the truth. But if you want to become your personal best, you have to like what it looks like. Create it the way you want to do it. I created my position as a therapist in the way I wanted to do it. And I became it. So this is important. The brain. Do you realize everything that you see, hear, smell, feel is neutral till it goes in your brain? Your brain, all of our brains react differently to what we see, hear, and think by the programming in your brain. So it's neutral, it goes in, and you have this core system in there that gives you your values, your beliefs, different languages, your memories, your decision, how you make decisions, your time coding. Time coding is what you think you'd be doing at what age. Like, you could have won a big bet off me years ago, I'd be working at 70. Heck, back when I was having my kids, if you told me I was going to be a therapist and be practicing hypnotherapy, I'd say, really? You're funny. So your time coding is important. Your meta programs are programs of belief systems that you either learn from generations, from family, from teachers. They're programs that you believe, religious beliefs, all kinds of beliefs. So it comes in and it goes dee all over the place, a nanosecond at a time, and you get an internal response, a state, a physical response, which is your behavior. What we know happens is we have filters in there. The filters delete, distort, or generalize. When something's inconsistent, the impact of nerves and stress and worry impact our ability to focus, our ability to learn it, and affects our relationships. So if you can just, the brain system is so important. I like to also look at it like a tree trunk. Birth is in the middle, there's a ring of every year of your life. And your core operating system's there, and your life is there. So your time coding is part of your timeline therapy. So when you have a thought, I like to think of it like a pinball machine goes ding through your life and comes up with information. Like, when was your first time you learned to ride? What was your first pony? What was your best birthday present? Your brain will produce that thought. Goes into your hard drive and gives you information. To me, when I think about that, if I have a reaction to something, I go, oh, I wonder what got programmed in what year of my life in my tree trunk. So what I say about hypnotherapy and hypnosis and life coaching is we find out what the gremlins are, we put them behind us, and we create a new ring here to how we want to be our personal best, and we step into it. And we use whatever we have, we want, and if there a gremlin comes back up, we thank it, we forgive it, we release it, which is a huge mindset. Then we think of the brain one more way. The conscious mind is your monitor. That's your analytical, rational, reasoning, thinking mind, the part of your brain that's listening to me going, what do I think about this? What am I going to do with this? What does she mean? Blah, blah, blah. In the 12% is your short-term memory. 2 plus 2 is 4, your quick thinking. Guess what else is in your 12%? Your willpower. We function off 88% of our brain, our hard drive. And that hard drive is our long-term memory, habit, pattern, emotions. And there's our self-preservation. So our habits and our emotions are all in there, and it's literal in there. It has zero analytical, rational reasoning ability. If it didn't, if we all were analytical, rational with 100% of our brain, we'd have zero issues. So to think about how we function, you know, if I have a hiccup, if something's wrong, it's not that something's wrong with me, it's just I have a program that needs to be rewired. It's like a computer. If a computer gets a virus, what happens to my computer? If my brain gets a virus, what happens to my brain? Depression, sadness, anger. Sometimes I get accused that I wear rose-colored glasses. I don't know. When you really have had all the things that I've had happen in my life, I learned this to survive. I learned solutions. Because I believe somebody upstairs has given me a lot of lessons to help a lot of people. I hope he stops soon, but anyway. I really do. But I learn them, and I teach them, and I share them. Because if I can help one more person live a better day, then I've done my job. So when I show you this, it comes with passion and compassion and a lot of information that I have spent the last 25 years learning. I've been all over the world learning from the best. And I say this last year, I went to another class this summer and I did a 9-day training in NLP, but the main reason I went, there was a brain doctor there and taught us really a lot about the brain. And we had put the cap on me and we watched, you can watch how the brain changes with stress, anxiety, worry. It was, I knew it because I've seen the MRIs from other studies, but when you're sitting there and it's you know, what was really funny though, I will tell you, he's this good looking guy from Canada and he's young and he's really smart and everything. So all these young people in the class, and that's kind of the oldest one there. And I went over to him, I said, I'd like a personal session with you, and he's, well, I'm all booked. I said, I know you're doing all my friends that I've met here and everything. I said, but you know, you're doing a lot of young people's brain. Would you like to see an old brain? He goes, well, how old are you? I go, I'm turning 70 this year. You are? He said, yeah, and he fit me in. I said, thank you. So I pay him the money, and I go in, and he does it. And he said, he showed me so many things. He says, you must have been doing hypnosis a long time and really working the brain. I go, yeah, like 48 years. And he showed me how my brain was functioning in all the different quadrants and how it would, and I could relax as soon as he told me to relax. And he told me to think of something that I'm scared of, and I thought something and my brain lit up like a, oh my gosh, it was amazing. And then he has this all on computer so you can watch it. And I thought, you know, that was just the neatest thing that I could possibly, it was worth the 9 days in that class. We had one day where we had to get rid of phobias. Well, I really don't have any phobias. I had to get rid of the fear of needles. When I was pregnant, I had to give myself a shot for diabetes. I grew up with pet snakes. I didn't have a phobia of snakes. So they break the room up. This is so funny. And my girlfriend's sitting next to me, and she has such a fear of snakes. I said, why didn't you let me work on you? She said, well, So she raised her hand for the fear of snakes. So they got 4 people on the stage, and here they bring in a 10-foot boa constrictor. And they're like, the people on the stage are like, oh. And anyway, the guy hypnotized them. By the end of it, we were in the next room holding snakes and everything. Everybody got rid of their phobias. So when we had to break out and change and work with each other, My girlfriend says, I don't want to work with you because I don't have anything to work with you with. I went, okay. So she went and worked with somebody else. So the head of the class came over to me and said, well, you want to go in the back room and play with the snakes? I said, sure. So I went back and held the snakes and had fun. But I watched a room of 75 people that had phobias of needles, because they had all these stations set up heights, so they had to go to the roof, overcome their phobias with hypnosis. I'm giving you that metaphor for a reason. Don't let phobias create problems in your life. I don't care if it's a spider or a snake. I'm not going to pet snakes ever again in my life, but I'm not scared. I'm smart about them. I grew up where we had poisonous snakes. I know my snakes, but I don't fear them. Spiders, they're there. I don't like getting bitten by one. I got bit by a brown recluse in my barn one time. That was terrible, but I'm not fearful of them. Whatever your hiccups are, if you have any fears that are affecting your life, get rid of it. I help fear of flying, whatever fear. So think of your brain this way, and know that whatever gremlins are in that tree trunk, we want to be able to release it. I put this slide in. It's a little extra little thing. My friend Mary Basson, she's a hypnotherapist too. She's actually the one that fears snakes. It's a performance loop. How internal states shape results. How to interpret it. How do you interpret the actual performance? We want the internal state, which we've been talking about. I talked about phobias, fears, what it does internally. We want to hit the internal state, the thought, what you tell yourself, what the action is, what you do to avoid it. And then it becomes back to the internal state. The loop runs automatically. Do you realize that? The loop runs automatically. So we want to change that for high performance. It's not just about positive thinking, it's about knowing where it is and how to release it. I say we take positive thinking and come up with constructive thinking to create the outcome you want. The outcome you want. So the performance loop is important because for high performance, you have to be in that place to where you believe what you're doing is doable, and you have to accept what you're doing is acceptable. Then you have that whole program of all the rules and regulations of life in your brain, whether you accept what you're doing is doable. And a must. You have to figure out a role model in your brain that gives you the roadmap to doing it at a peak level. You don't have to like the person, you don't have to like, but you have to like that you can be a winner, and you have to like what it looks like. Or your self-preservation will keep you from your performance loop. That's just science. So I like this because that internal state, thoughts, and actions, you got to know how it all produces itself. The other part of the equation, I teach this so much. How many people in the room know that your brain doesn't hear don't or not? Your subconscious mind does not hear don't or not. Don't think about the black horse. How many black horses are in the room right now? Every one of you. When you learn this fact, you will be amazed. When you're told, don't do something, you're going to do it. Because the brain hears do it. My sport now is sporting clays. I shoot those little orange things that fly in the air. I shoot a 12 gauge. And I was taking this lesson with this really good instructor, and all he kept telling me what not to do. I set my gun down. I said, I'm sitting in my brain reframing everything you say, and it's getting difficult. I want to learn. And I handed him a book to read. So you got to avoid that word. Tell me what to do. Tell me what to do. I'll do it. So you want to ask what to do. So I also want you to think about cancel, delete, and erase. If you have a negative thought, cancel, delete, and erase it. And replace it. When thinking negative thoughts, say the word cancel, replace it with a positive one, or think of a purple elephant. What is a purple elephant? Absolutely nothing. This professional basketball player wrote me an email the other day. He says, you know, I came to you because I was missing all my free throws. And he says, because of the silence in the game. He says, now I just sit there and I get every free throw, and all I think is purple elephant. Gets every free throw. Because he blocks it all out. Takes a purple elephant because his brain knows how to throw that ball into the basket. Your brain knows how to ride the horse. Start trusting it. This is a way to cancel, delete negativity and the mindset of when you want to do something, say how you do it. The I am and I can. Then we want to go into that proactive mindset. The proactive part of the brain is facing the difficult mistakes and admitting it. Write down all of your negative statements and then come up with the positive of it. Come up with that other line. No, admit it, accept the responsibility, avoid blaming others, eliminate the jealousy and judgment. Jealousy and judgment, in my opinion, keep so many people from where they want to be. And I'm repeating this over and over again. If you're in alignment with your personal best, it doesn't matter who has what, or that better horse, or I have a good horse, I don't deserve it. Whatever the story is, really think of your story and eliminate the parts that you need to let go of, and the blaming others, the jealousy and judgment. Accepting what is a great statement. Accepting what is being present with what is. And then being able to use what you already have to go, but you need to see where you want to go with it. So we want to go learn from it. What are your strengths? What does make you strong? What empowers you? What are your belief systems? And sometimes you might analyze, where you learned it from. When you have any weaknesses, is it from a parent? Is it from a teacher? We're not blaming, we're not going over anything, but we want to shift it so we can see where it comes from. Does it belong to you? Do you want to be that the rest of your life? I was raised, and I'm the younger of 4 children. My sister told me how I wasn't very smart. So I was always fighting to prove I was smart. I don't know what definition of smart. I can learn. I've been to college. Got 2 different degrees. Now I've become this practice, and I can do just about anything. But when we have a story that our brain believes, one belief system, someone told me that one trainer told her she wasn't athletic. I don't know. I think anybody that rides a horse is pretty athletic. But that belief system kept her from advancing. So if you have any gremlins, it's a belief system that you need to get rid of, then we have to get rid of it. So thinking what your strengths are, learn from it. What are your weaknesses? What can you do to improve them? What can you do to improve them? Well, I wanted to become a really good sporting clay shooter, so I went to a program up in South Carolina to become a trainer. I call it boot camp for an old lady. It was boot camp. I'm lying in bed like the 3rd night there, and I'm thinking, what is this like? And I'm Googling it. Oh, this is boot camp. I woke up the next morning, I run in the living room. My son was there, and my friend of mine was taking it with me, Dr. Carol Holland. She's there, and I go, hey, we're in boot camp. They go, you just figured that out? I go, yeah, I Googled it. But I wanted to learn. What do we do to learn? This summer when I took that 9-day training, someone said, well, you already have your master's practitioner in that you can teach the class. I go, I can always learn more. Everything you do, go and get some pearls. If you get 3 pearls from this lecture tonight, you take that PowerPoint home and you read the book, use them. Because I make it easy. I'm helping you learn what your brain did to maintain that positive you. How do we make that script? It's not to be arrogant, rude, and socially unacceptable. is to be intelligent in what you're doing. If you can think it, you can believe it, you can become it. Going into that visualization, think again, I'm repeating this over, embracing the change, embracing the change. Finding that way to remind yourself of the positives that can be accomplished. Goes back to the I can. Bounce back from mistakes. Think of mistakes as your tools. What's your toolbox have in it? What do you need to do to bounce back? Realize you're only human. This is really important. Forgive yourself. Remember, you're sum total of everything that you've learned. All you are is what you've seen, heard, and felt. It's letting the brain dissect that, but forgive yourself. Remember, you're not perfect, you're perfect enough. Be that. Forgive yourself, learn from the mistake, and it happened. Because if you fix it, you want to make it right, but you got to learn what that looks like. If you're unkind to yourself, apologize to yourself. Wake up in the morning and look at the mirror and say, it's going to be a great day, I love you. Tell yourself that you are wonderful. How many people did that this morning? Do it. Do it. Because there's nobody else you can be. I haven't found any things to change us except for be who we are. And do the best you can with what you have. I thought I was giving a really good metaphor to somebody one time, and she had cute feet. And I said, yeah, it was like somebody telling you have big feet. You know, because I knew they were cute and little. I was trying to, give her a little. She started bawling. Her feet were too little. I went, oh, that was the wrong one. And you're too tall, too short. I'm not, what do we say to ourselves? I'm not smart enough, I'm not short enough. Well, I'm short. I'm not tall enough, I'm not skinny enough, I'm not whatever enough. Find this mindset and fix to accept what is. When I became a hypnotherapist years ago, I was in class, I was a little overweight. I had been taught growing up that I had the hereditary gene pool of a Boynton. My maiden name is Boynton. And I was going to be 300 pounds of antidepressants, so don't worry about it. I fought weight my whole life. I was always told, if you lose a couple pounds, you'd look better. If you put some makeup on, you'd even look better. Now that I'm gray, my sister says, if you dye your hair, you'll look better. When I got on the Rachel Ray show, the first thing my sister said to me, are you going to dye your hair and wear makeup? I went, nah. I did put makeup on for Rachel Ray, but they made me for the cameras. But be who you are. Enjoy who you are. Find out what makes it right. And then be enough. So when I found out that I didn't have to be in that gene pool, I came home and I did a whole weight loss program and I lost 45 pounds. I've pretty much kept it off since. Oh, I don't know if anybody sees me on Facebook, but when I was working with my friend at that class this summer, she says, there's anything that you want to do? I need to work on you for something. I need to practice what he's teaching us. I said, well, I'm 69. I've never worked out the gym, never wanted to. Never had a thought to go to the gym work out because I cleaned stalls, I had a barn, I'm busy, I'm in pretty good shape. And I said, I'd like to start going to the gym. Getting older, I need to probably have a little bit more muscle tone, So she hypnotized me. As soon as I got back to North Carolina, I went to the gym 3 days a week. Now I love going to the gym. It's a program in my brain that I do. I changed my belief system. But you have to want to do the change. That's why I'm giving you that metaphor. She couldn't hypnotize me to go to the gym unless I wanted to. I cannot hypnotize anybody for anything unless they want it. Trust me. I have people coming in and say, make me stop smoking, make me lose weight. I go, I spent 10 years at Palm Beach Oncology Cancer Institute in town, West Palm Beach. And they would come in, cancer patients, I have to stop smoking. They didn't want to, but I could help them want to by their medical reasons. But change comes if you want it. Nobody can make you do anything you don't want to do. That's kind of the go-to. If you see, I'd say on TV, if you see hypnosis, And they're doing it, that's called acting. That's not called, they're really getting hypnotized to do it. So just know there's nothing that anybody can make you do unless you want to. Like the fear people, all the phobias. They had to want to get rid of their phobia to get rid of it. To make it, learn how to avoid making the mistake again, create a positive habit that will want you to do it. So I create a positive habit that I enjoy going to the gym. I have a really nice trainer up there. I haven't gotten it down here in Florida yet. Because for me to leave my house and go to a gym, it's like an hour drive each way. So I'm working on setting something up at the house. Change your response. Different thought, something to calm you. I gave you examples of my dog in my lap, something you like, some joyful things. Find that place. Play music that relaxes you, brightens your mood. This one is really important. If you listen to music with words and you get depressed, listen to the words you're listening to. I learned this so long ago. My husband likes oldies and goldies. And he would play them, and I'd be getting ready, and I'd be walking out in a bad mood, and then I learned about how my brains react. I'm like, wow. So I walked in one day, and I said, you're enjoying this music, aren't you? He said, yeah, I had the best teenage years. I said, well, my teenage years sucked. I get depressed every time you play this music. So we made an agreement while we're getting ready in the morning, we play something without words. I suggest that before you go to a show, before you do things. Words and music sometimes are depressing or bring up old memories that might not be healthy for you. Very important. Brighten your mood with something you like. So my kids all learned very young that I like Kenny G, so they knew whenever I had Kenny G on that I was working on something. And Kenny G is still my go-to. Avoid reacting right away. Pause for a minute. I'm awakening your unconscious mind to be aware. This is a little exercise I just printed out and put in everything I do because I like to teach this one. If you have something that you're having emotion, imagine it in your hand, visualize the emotion, shrink it down an inch, blow it away. It works really well. You just do this in your mind. Everybody needs to know you're doing it. Cool, manage, go easy on yourself. Accept the things won't always be perfect, and you cannot control everything. I think there's a sentence in the Serenity Prayer, we have to accept some things. And if you can do something about them, then do something about them, but don't take them personal. Making good decisions is all just a programming in our brain. And a word I want you to memorize, I don't think it's in part of this presentation, but it's a great word, solutions. Use the word solutions as much as you can. The advertising world knew the word solutions first. So you'll notice this after I've taught you this tonight, that a lot of companies have solutions in their name or their taglines. They've done studies. If you have 10 companies listed, the one that has solution, you'll pick that over the other 9. Well, mental health world has learned solutions now. If a brain believes there's a solution, there's less depression. The more we believe there's a solution there, and the more we ask ourselves for a solution, the more solutions come to us. It's a word, but it does a lot for people mentally, physically, and emotionally. If we believe there's a solution, we'll find it. We won't get depressed. It would solve a lot if we could get it out there more. So I'm sharing it with you. Everything, if you think of a solution, it'll come to you. Breathing techniques. How many here have breathing techniques they practice in and out and use it with different things? Find one that works for you. I don't teach a lot of it, but I share it with my clients, and I do remind people, pay attention to your breath. Helps block triggers. We want to keep the breathing happening. This is a good exercise. Do the 5 in, the 5 out. In my hypnosis, I have you breathe when you relax. So there are all kinds, because breathing techniques for stress, anger, and anxiety. There's another one I don't have in here. It's called bilateral stimulation. If anybody has anxiety, if you pass something from one hand to the other, you can't have an anxiety attack and do this at the same time. Like you can't be hungry and nauseous at the same time. It's called bilateral stimulation. There's more to it. I'm giving you this simple. A doctor in New York created it. But what happens is if you pass something from one hand to the other, you're going from the right hemisphere to the left hemisphere, the left hemisphere to the right hemisphere, and you can't have anxiety at the same time. I teach this with my equestrians, because if they're in the saddle, they can relax their right hand, their right elbow, their right shoulder, their left elbow, their left hand. By the time they cycle twice around, they're in the zone. Great exercise called bilateral stimulation. Pay attention. The reason this is all important is right here. There are a lot of natural laws of the mind. They're all in the book, but I only focus on 4 when I speak. What you think is what you get. Every thought causes a physical reaction. Imagination is more powerful than knowledge. That's why we have hiccups. Your habits are your life. 97% of what you do every day is by habit. 97%. The lemon test. Right now, I want you just to sit in your chair and relax. And I want you to close your eyes, just for a moment, and just listen to the sound of my voice. I want you to imagine right now that you are in your kitchen. And right there on the counter is a cutting board and a knife. Your favorite knife is there. And I want you to go over to the refrigerator. Imagine, visualize, and pretend you're comfortable in your kitchen. You know how your refrigerator door opens. I want you to open your refrigerator door, and there on the shelf is a big, plump, juicy lemon. I want you to pick up that lemon. You might even smell it. It's so fragrant. Now, I want you to take that lemon. You can feel how plump it is. Take it over to your cutting board, and just imagine walking whatever your room, whatever your counter looks like, and put that lemon on your cutting board. Take the knife and cut a big slice of that lemon. You see the juice, right? You might even smell it. Pick up that piece of lemon that you just cut, and I want you to take a big bite of that lemon and taste how sour it is, or how it might have a little sweetness to it. And take a deep breath and imagine what it feels like to have that lemon in your mouth. Now open your eyes. How many people smelt the lemon? How many people felt the plumpness of it? How many people swallowed? So a lot of swallowing. When I do it, I have to pay attention so I don't swallow, because I taste it. I just hypnotize you. I use your imagination. Nobody has a lemon here, but your brain produced what you ask it to do. So the lemon test is just a fun way to realize, and technically, if you swallowed, your kinesthetic, if you smelled it, your auditory, if you saw it, I forgot. You used all the ones I just mentioned, auditory, kinesthetic, and visual. You saw it. So the brain is going to do what you ask it to do. So that's just a fun little test I'd like to do. It's the knowledge. Imagination is more powerful than knowledge. And that's basically what you're using your brain to be productive in that way, to see the brain function. This is a little formula for anxiety. Life conditions a blueprint in the brain, and how you feel help us to change. Anxiety produces 3 choices. Ignore and blame events and others and self, or change your life conditions, or change the blueprint, the physical focus and your meaning. So your body, when you have this formula for anxiety, your brain has a blueprint in there how you react. What I like to do is say, take this and change your life conditions. You get the physiology, the purpose of your mind and your body connection, and rewrite your script. Rewrite your script so that once you have relaxed, as a trainer or a rider, you will handle your clients and students better. You'll be less tense in your own life. All these tools affect your life. Be aware and be alert for teaching. Feel happier with yourself, allowing yourself to communicate better. This helps communication skills. Learn your words. Feel sense of peace of being able to effortlessly train and teach. Enjoy your career. I guess y'all have probably figured out after sitting here for an hour and a half, I love my career. I practice what I teach, and I love sharing. So, enjoy your career also helps you be more successful. You are what you think. A thought creates a physical action. Your imagination is stronger than knowledge. You are a magnet drawing to you that you want. Yes, I do believe in the law of attraction. Yes, I do, because it's true. You attract with your energy. You want to get somewhere, you want to see that you can believe it and enjoy it. To enjoy it is part of the process. I have a granddaughter that's living with me now. My granddaughter. She was living in Dillon, Colorado, and she's having trouble with the altitude. So the doctor there says she needs to be at sea level for 4 months to get her red blood cell. She's 4.5. We were roasting marshmallows the other day, and she fell in the fire pit and burned her hand. She's 4.5 years old. So we go to the emergency room in Okeechobee. She keeps it in the water. We get her to Miami. So they had to hire an ambulance to get her to Miami. So they strap her down on the gurney. She's 4.5 now. She tells the guy, the paramedic, to stop a minute. She says, I'm really excited about my first ride in an ambulance. She says, but I'm really nervous too. They feel the same and they look the same. That paramedic looked at me and I said, well, her grandmother's a hypnotist and her mother's a hypnotist. She's kind of learned a lot about her emotions and her body. She's 4.5. And the guy goes, well, it can be exciting because we're not going to turn the light on for you, but your mom is going to sit next to you. She said, meanwhile, I had this big Yeti that she was keeping her hand in cold water. And she told the paramedics, she said, you can't put ice and you can't make it too cold because ice is not good for burns. I need cool water. And he goes, okay, but what if your water's warm and I put a little ice in it, it'll be just right. She goes, oh, that's a good idea. Anyway, they get in the ambulance and the guy looks at me and she says, let's make this fun. Can I watch my iPad now? So my daughter goes, sure. She needed to charge it up. So they made it, she's going to be fine. I can tell the story because she's going to be fine. The plastic surgeon did surgery on her the next morning. Her hand's going to be fine. She can use her finger. She's all good. It was a hiccup. We were all there. She just tripped. My brother said, we should get longer sticks. I said, well, we did have a real long stick. And we've been doing a lot of that, so it wasn't like it was that. But she handled all of that because one thing my daughter's taught her is about her emotions. And that she can handle them. So we learn at all ages, don't we? None of us are too young and none of us are too old. Let's take that mindset and find out what it looks like for the next chapter. So here's why. You have an unconscious competence. That's your ability to do stuff. That's in that subconscious mind. And you have an unconscious confidence that you develop on how you do that, like parking your car. Then it becomes a conscious level one. Conscious level confidence that I can do it. A conscious level confidence that I'll do it well, or I'll do it the best of my ability. These are what you develop to be your personal best in anything you do, in everything you do. When you think about doing something, remember you've got your unconscious that becomes conscious and your awareness that it is a conscious ability. But you've got to have the undercurrent in the subconscious mind of how to do it, because that's where it's memorized in the hard drive of your computer. To me, this is how we learn to do everything. The purpose of this slide is the burnout trap that I wanted to share with, because we're equestrians. And people get burnout in their jobs, people get burnout, they get angry, they get exhausted, they have pain. When they all get together, we get a reaction and an overreaction and an action. That is where it all feeds in together. That's why I like to teach people to learn about what their anger is caused by, what exhausts them, and what their pain is. So once we pull those apart, we can get things to be more fluid. To me, that's the burnout trap. If you get in that and you're in that reactive middle, really evaluate how to change those three things. The resilience. Resilience is a word of 2026, so it's emotionally intelligent. What is resilience? It's the ability to handle life's ups and downs. To be able to have the solutions, to be able to learn what I can do, what I can't do. And if you want to learn something new, to be resilient while you're learning it. Resiliency is a go-to word that I really love, but it's a state of mind. It's learned behavior. Technically, everything is. There is self-esteem, learning from your mistakes, under self-control, willingness to know the difference, problem solving. And I purposely did the PowerPoint with big slides so you could go back and remember this, because last year I taught that, what was the percentages? 38% are going to remember half of what I said, 20% is going to practice what I do, what I'm teaching. I want y'all to be 100%. Take this and use it for your life. I put this in here for the heck of it. I teach people you need protein to perform. So this is a protein shake I like now. Nuri is at Costco. This is a clear one. I carry around a little packet and I can mix it with water. And I've discovered this bread. It's called Hero Bread. Amazon has it. It's a little bit more expensive than it. You go to hero.com. This guy in San Francisco is making bagels, bread, and I've been getting it. It's delicious. Only 1 carb, low calorie, and protein. This is where you can scan and find out how much protein you need in a day. I need 82 grams of protein to sit in my chair and hypnotize 10 people a day. I make sure I get it. With you performing, make sure you get it before you go in that ring. Brain fog will not let you win. These are some teas I suggest because a lot of people have a wired nervous system that has been nervous and stressed for a long time. Lemon balm tea, the lemon balm really goes into the nerves. It helps your neurological pathways heal. Hibiscus is good for the physical body, for the nervous system, the digestive system. It's just a good. What I do every morning is I get up and I brew those two with one of the natural sweetener, because I don't believe artificial sweeteners. All that artificial stuff is really bad for your brain. So is high fructose corn syrup. It ruins your brain. I go bonkers when I get high fructose corn syrup. I mix these, I brew them, and then I get a big Yeti, fill it full of ice, I pour it in there, put the tea bags, pour it over, and I drink that all day. There's one in my car that I made this morning to finish on my drive home, because I got an hour drive home. It took me 2 hours to get here. So I do this every day. And I do it because I like my nerves to be healthy. I like all that I've learned from it. My friend does a lot of medical media stuff. I've learned a lot from that. Mushroom coffee, I mean. This one is one I found that's Keurig. It's a focus. There's all the reasons why I printed it in your things for you to learn. There's so much good for your brain to work because I like to have a good memory and I want my brain to be healthy. And it really has made a difference. These are some other drops I do for vitamins every morning. I just decided to share them because everybody asks me what I do. I just passed an insurance policy test as a 50-year-old, and I was ill 3 years ago, and I've been doing all this stuff to get healthy. So I'm sharing just because I like to share. These are more that I do, the lemon balm drops. Some people really like to do the lemon drops as they're training their brain to help the nervous system stop being so activated. You know, habits can be changed through the mind, but the body has memorized it and it keeps it alive. This will help your body get healthy. Here I'm giving you all these MP3s. All you do is download the code. Basic relaxation, that's the equestrian one. Peak performance. I put solutions in a personal best. That's the equestrian personal best. These are to go with the book. Basic relaxation, showing some jumping, performance anxiety. And you go in there and the coupon is Lyndon. So if you didn't get a PowerPoint, write down your name and I will send you a copy of the PowerPoint in email and you'll get all these downloads. I'm telling you this because I really want you to go home and practice some of this stuff. It helps. One thing I'm really good for is sleep. I put you to sleep. I remember one day I was at the Cancer Institute and this lady introduced me to a friend in the hallway. And she says, oh, you got to meet Laura because I listen to her MP3s and I get sleep every night. And the lady looks at me, she says, you're that boring? I said, well, no, I just relax you and tell you to go to sleep. Really good for sleep and insomnia. For travel, no jet lag. Did I put no jet lag on there? Anybody wants no jet lag? My no jet lag works really well for travel. So these are some good ones for you starting out. And of course, I'm open for anybody to learn. There's 3 of us. Billie Jean is here. She works with me. She's here. And my daughter, who's kind of working some, and then me. We are available and we love to help people. And if you have any questions, we love to share. I guess you figured that one out. So first of all, I want to ask, anybody have any questions now? Got to be one. After all that stuff? Not one question. Inquisitive minds want to know. Oh, that's the National Enquirer. So to end all this, then we ask one question.
I have one.
Yes.
I remember what I was thinking when you said that they were going over the phobias at that thing, and there's people with the fear of needles. I have a fear of needles, so let's start with that. Which is hilarious because I'm a veterinary assistant and I have no problems giving animals needles, no issue there. But when I'm getting them, it's, have to take Valium, it's a whole thing. So anyways, how did they get them to move past it? Like, did they make them just sit there and hold a bunch of syringes?
No, it's actually a hypnosis session. We go into the subconscious mind and reprogram that fear. I had that one too. And it just changes your belief system about the needle and it becomes your friend.
Yeah.
So like my daughter knows all this. So when like my granddaughter was getting the IV, she was crying and screaming. She said, just a minute, told her she was getting her friend. And she said, it's going to make you healthy, and kind of relaxed her and told her that. And then the nurse came back in. She said, give me my friend, please. So it would just mentally tell the brain something different associated to the needle. And it's using the hypnosis, it's using the tools. And then you just get rid of that fear. Then you have another go-to. I did a lot of that working in the medical world because that was the go-to to get rid of all phobias. But yeah, it's getting rid of the program in your brain's associated not liking, because you already know needles, you already know how to use them. So it's something that might have happened as a child.
I know exactly what it is. But yeah, it's like I know it's irrational, and I need the needle. I need my blood drawn. I need the needle.
Doesn't matter if it's irrational. Remember, 88% of your brain is literal.
Yeah.
So it's bigger than this building.
Yeah.
When we have a fear is real. Is it your imagination or is it real? It's real at the moment because you believe it's real. That's what your brain's telling you. Because something happened in your life that created that fear for a reason. And that's why the brain is hanging on to it. It's called regression to cause is what it's called. You just go and kind of neutralize it in the brain, let it go, and then you change how you want it to be. But you have to want to get rid of it or you'll hang on to it for other reasons. Okay? Kind of how we do it. But that's a good question. Because when we have fears, when you have them, they're yours, they're real. But if you need to get rid of it, I'm saying to you, you can get rid of it. And I would say that for showing, for riding, for whatever. Because remember this, in riding, there is a natural course system that keeps a fear because are all horses safe? No. We still have to have an intellectual brain thought process that we've checked our boxes off. My trainer says it's okay for me. I think I have the ability to ride it. We're not getting on a bucking bronco, even though I have helped rodeo, riding the bucking broncos and riding the cows, bull riding. I've helped people be better bull riders. But whatever you want to overcome is learning what the brain needs to do it. That makes sense? And if it's to be able to ride a horse that you've chosen that you can raise your unconscious competence and unconscious confidence to level, and you know it's the right okay horse to do, you still got to make intellectual decisions. Because nobody can get rid of a deep fear that's for your life. But if you choose to do something that is out of the box, and you're doing it by choice intellectually, you can be smart. And I always add in everything I do with most sports is the level of safety and making good decisions. So the verbiage is actually is you do the right thing at the right time all the time. So if your brain is memorizing that you are functioning with that ability, it's raising the level of keeping that ability at the forefront. Again, that's science. When I say the easy button on it, if the brain believes it's easy to learn how to do that or to have that happen, it's going to allow you to learn it easier. Is it easy to do? No, but it's easy if you believe it can be easier to learn and do it. Because if you think it's hard, what is the brain's job to do? Fear, flight, fright, freeze mechanism, and can I do it? I got to believe I can do it before I do it. That's the most important part. Every movement, every choice, every thought that you have. And then making that decision. So that is it for me tonight. And I've asked for questions. Anybody come up with one after hers? It's kind of cold in here. My hands are hurting. You know I can warm you up too with your thoughts. Think of a campfire.